Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Alex, and today I want to start a kind of new type of video, basically going through in the world map on Marvel Future Revolution and showing you each of the zones, highlighting important aspects of those zones, key bosses that you want to look out for when they spawn, and just other general tips and tricks, especially when it comes to the more difficult stages when you translate and you graduate from New Stark City to Hydra Empire to Xandearth, Xandearth to Midgardia, and finally Midgardia to Sakaar. That's also the reason why I've hidden the camera in this video. Just want you guys to focus on what's on the screen, not necessarily my face or my reaction. And so we're actually not going to go in chronological order, just because I think a lot of content you've seen New Stark City and you've seen Hydra Empire because it's newer stuff. So I actually want to focus on Midgardia, the second to last zone in the game. This page is actually really cool, and I want to show you guys a few different things about Midgardia. I also want to talk about Midgardia for a few different reasons, one of which being the difficulty spike after Xandearth. So this is a really cool sub menu that you will see once you zone in to Midgardia. You will see that there are actually multiple different zones, and you'll start at the Asgardian settlement and you'll work your way to the Ravaged Plains, the Forbidden Forest, the Cursed Forest. It's even more cursed than the Forbidden Forest, and then finally the Icy Peaks. So we're going to start at the Asgardian settlement here, and it's actually so cool. Like, the attention to detail and the little icons there are actually really dope. We're going to start here and we're just going to work our way through, and I'm going to talk about some different things. But yeah, the difficulty spike in the Asgardian settlement once you get off of Xandearth is actually pretty noticeable. Not just because the mobs get harder, but they just get to have more HP, they do more damage, they gang up on you a lot more often. Midgardia looks gorgeous, by the way. This is sort of the ruins of Midgardia that we saw in a lot of the promotional content for Marvel Future Revolution. I'm sort of flying into the thing here. Oh, that's like an invisible wall. I can't fly that way at all. I see. But anywho, you see Midgardia in a lot of content, and this beginning zone might not actually be that difficult. You can see there's very few enemies here, but even the enemies that you see, they're bunched up really tightly. Despite the fact that these zones are called like Icy Peaks, which is mountainous, or the forest, which seems like really vast, the zones are actually pretty tight, a lot tighter than I think some of the other zones. It's probably similar to the Ultron assembly plant in New Stark City in terms of the density of mobs. And so this high density will cause you, like, look at this one character here. Actually, that's not a character, that's an NPC, but sometimes you can get double teamed or triple teamed by multiple enemies at the same time. And more so in this zone than the other zones is the enemies start to do different things. They have ranged attacks. Some of them are just grunts. Some of them are much tankier. You'll see actual literal giants. They're just jumping through. You can see they're throwing spears at me. And so because of that, this can be a lot more overwhelming, and this zone is probably where it's going to be more difficult for you to autoplay. Look at this. Right away, you start seeing trolls, and these trolls actually gave me such a headache and such a nightmare when I first started playing on my first character, Doctor Strange. It's a lot easier for me now because I have a boosted squad stats, but yeah, this was tough at the time, not to mention the fact that you can see I just very easily aggroed two of them, and they have a decent amount of AoE on their skills, so it's actually hard to get away from them. Just literally just got guard broken. And then you can imagine if this place were also populated by some of the smaller grunt characters, that you would actually be in a lot more trouble than just one or two enemies. But Midgardia is actually really beautiful, and there are quite a few things that you can do to mitigate the damage that you're taking. Obviously, teaming up with people is a big one. So one thing that I recommend that you do if you're just in a zone fighting, I can go back to where there were more players because there really isn't anyone here, but where there were more players, essentially you just press on their character model. You just go over here and I just press on that white Black Widow. Oh, I missed her. She's running away. I press on her, and then you can see the pop-up, and then I would just press that third button. There's the magnifying glass for me to take a look at her gear, or their gear if I want to. There is a friend request, and then there's the party up request. Partying up with people will allow you to basically share the quest requirements. So if they kill a mob that you just touched once, then you'll still get the recorded value for that, and you'll still advance your quest. And basically most of the quests at this point in the game are just go to this zone, kill this mob, go to that zone, kill this other mob. So I'm going to transfer quickly to the next zone, and I'm going to show you how you can use the environment to your advantage in the forests of Midgardia. So moving over to the Forbidden Forest, things actually continue to get pretty difficult here. You have dark elves and you have Malekith to deal with, and it really doesn't get any easier. You can see like the density here of mobs can sometimes be kind of overwhelming. Like there's automatically 3 mobs aggroing me, and if I'm not careful, I now have 5 mobs aggroing me simultaneously. So it's very, very easy to get overwhelmed by multiple mobs, especially if you're not level 100 in this level 65 zone. If you were level 65, they would be absolutely shredding your butt. So you want to pay attention to your positioning when it comes to more difficult mobs, and especially when you're doing one-on-one stuff, like let's say there's a boss. Here, we'll actually try to fly over here and see if we can engage this boss. You actually can use the trees to your advantage. The trees will actually disable a lot of the line of sight. It won't disable 100% of the line of sight, so sometimes enemies with ranged attacks will still do their ranged attacks and it will clip through the tree, and that's just sort of limitation of a mobile MMO ARPG, but there's lots of times where they don't. And for enemies that are melee only, or majority of their attacks are very, very, very close range, you can just kite them around a tree. It's not going to work as well for every class. Like, for example, Captain America is going to have a bit more of a difficult time kiting a mob around a tree than someone like Doctor Strange, Star-Lord, or, Storm. But you can still definitely do it. Now, the mob actually just died, so we're not going to be able to do that. But this sort of leads me into my next point, which is Midgardia is the first zone, in my opinion, where you want to do all of the side quests. And you can see the side quests come in 2 flavors. They come in the yellow flavor, which is the one that I just got. I got to listen to Bray's story. And these side quests are only triggered when you're close enough to the character, the NPC. They won't just trigger automatically. They won't show up on your map automatically either until you've already triggered them. There you go. I just did that one, and I got some XP, I got some gold, and I got a uniform. The reason why Midgardia is the first place that you actually want to play the side quests, especially the actual side missions, and if you know what I'm talking about, you go into the activity log, and it's these like actual side quests. Yeah, I've done them all, right? For the other places, for the zones, I did 18 of them in Xandearth. In Hydra, I did them all because there's only 14. It's very short, but yeah, I purposely did them all in Midgardia because the XP is actually very, very good. For whatever reason, the XP for the side missions in Xandearth is really bad. It gives you like 5, sometimes 10%, which is nothing. You have to do like 10 quests to get barely a level. In Midgardia, you start getting a lot more XP. It's just scaled much better, so you can get 15, 20%, 25% XP on one side quest. So they're really worth doing, and I strongly recommend, especially if you're having any sort of trouble with Midgardia, with the Midgardia zone, to clear all of the side quests. It always prompts you before you leave the zone. Courtney will say, hey, you've got some side quests, or you've got some collectibles to collect, to complete. Do you want to do that, or do you want to keep going into the next zone? And I would strongly recommend completing those, because it's going to help boost your character's level, and the higher level your character gets, the better in a better position they'll be to sort of not die and instead survive. So you can see here, for example, I'm not having the best time kiting these particular enemies around the tree, but I am still sort of interrupting them, and I actually caught them on these rocks, and they're actually kind of trapped here right now. So they're actually not quite attacking me, which is hilarious, even though I'm standing still, because they don't know what to do and they can't really handle the terrain. Like, this one dark elf is just stuttering around. So this is one of the ways in which I legitimately use the terrain to my advantage. Rocks, trees, and cliffs like this, I used it to my advantage when I was farming, or if I needed a break and I didn't want to die, because Midgardia honestly is way, way harder than the previous zone, Xandearth. But okay, I've given you guys enough talking. Let me show you guys what this looks like. So my Iron Man is actually level 75, so he's 1 level under, but he is basically at the point now where he is trying to work through the Midgardian quests. He just got out of the Cursed Forest, and he's in the Icy Peaks, so this is actually the most difficult stage, or the most difficult area of Midgardia before Sakaar, because it's the last one. So right now we're actually doing the Frost Blood side quest, and like I said, I follow my own advice a lot in this game. I'm doing the side quest because, let's see here, if I try to cancel it, this is going to give me 300,000 XP. I'll play it out so you guys can see, because it's only 18 monsters, so it shouldn't take me too long. But 300,000 XP at level 75 is a boatload. Right now I'm at 50% XP. You can see it just under my level, so it's going to be a perfect example of how much XP you actually get. But as you can see, like, these guys are not going down easy. Iron Man is lucky that he's only taking on 3 of them, but if I'm not careful, there's like 5 others that could easily be aggroed, and actually I think one of them might... No, maybe not. Okay, and it actually wouldn't hurt in this case, because of the large volume of enemies, to spec in some more AoE skills. You have to be careful though, you don't want to do too many AoE skills with low damage, because then you're just not going to have enough damage to kill the mobs, because as you can see, they have a pretty chunky health pool. Like, even at lower levels, one rotation usually kills enemies in New Stark City. Maybe 2 rotations of your skills kills enemies in Xandearth and Hydra Empire. But here, you can go multiple rotations with some of these enemies and not kill them, or you need to expend your entire ult, in the case of Iron Man, who has a very, very high damage ult, to actually get through and kill. So what we're going to do here, and this is another tip I have for you if you want to play manually. This is not obviously for the autoplay boys, but if you want to play manually, group up a bunch of enemies and then pop your ult or pop your directional attack, whatever it is. Okay, that person just kind of ruined that level 100. Arthas just kind of ruined my fun because he just wiped out all the mobs for me. Thanks, Arthas. Well, the World of Warcraft sucks. So anyways, that was ruined. But anyways, here's another example of what I'm saying. You basically just line them up, and that was a horrible lineup, and I only hit 1 enemy out of however many are here. So yeah, you get what I'm saying, but I'm unable to show you at the moment because of the conditions, but that's okay. We're gonna wrap up this mission and see how much XP we get. From 50%, we are going to jump up to, we're gonna skip this, go talk to Jakub Smirnov. Let's see what Jakub has to say. And I really like the Icy Peaks. This is Jotunheim, so we're actually in... actually, I don't know if this is Jotunheim. It just says Icy Peaks, so this might just be a part of Midgardia that's now been taken over by the Frost Giants. But you could say spiritually this feels like Jotunheim because it's cold everywhere, and there are Frost Giants everywhere. And, of course, Laufey is here, who is the king of the Frost Giants, so yeah, it might as well be Jotunheim. So let's see, 50% XP goes to 70%. So a single side quest was able to fetch me 20% of my XP for a level. That's awesome. That means 5 side quests or less, and I would level up to 76, and the mobs will get considerably easier once I match their level, and the content itself will get considerably less difficult because I know once I actually move on to the next zone, or the next area, they might actually go up to 77. And if I'm 2 levels behind, then it's going to get even more difficult. Unlike some of the other zones, especially the forest, there isn't really anywhere to quote-unquote hide here, so I don't really have a lot of tips for you regarding using the environment to your advantage. There's basically just, you know, kill or be killed. The Frost Giants here don't have a lot of forgiveness, and actually these Frost Beasts up here are actually so sick. I haven't seen this. There's like caves here and stuff. But yeah, there is one more thing I want to tell you guys. I want to spoil it for you, but Midgardia also has one of my favorite missions in the game, and it's technically a stealth mission. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say. So, if you enjoyed this video, check out how awesome and cold. Check out how cold Midgardia looks. Why can't I pan the camera down? But anyways, if you enjoyed this video, hit me up in the comments down below. Let me know what you think. I can do absolutely another one for Sakaar and the other zones, but I wanted to start with Midgardia because it's one of the most beautiful zones in the game. It has some of the coolest designed enemies and characters and NPCs, and I think it's a big difficulty bump for newer players or players who are on their first character. So it's important to give you some tips that seriously helped me out when I was first going through the zone with my Doctor Strange. Thanks so much for watching. Hit me up in the comments down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.